Hello everyone. I thought today that I would give a quick update on what my language study routine looks like at the moment. And now I believe, first of all, that a language study routine is something that, firstly, changes throughout different chapters of your life. There's no such thing as the perfect study routine. You should be open to making changes and adapting to match your current needs at each stage of your life. It's a little bit like going to the gym, right? It's important to be consistent and not change your routine every week, but maybe consider every 6 months or so how things are going and if any changes need to be made. And secondly, I believe that language study routines should adapt and be specific to each individual. So this video is not made to give you the best way to make a study routine or to learn a language. It's simply to share what is currently working for me, and hopefully it might give you some ideas as well, because I love watching videos about other people's routines, and I feel like this is something I've been adding to and tweaking and changing over many years, and I feel like what I'm doing right now is working really well, so I thought I would share it with you. Also, keep in mind, I'm currently learning 2 languages, so in this video you might get some ideas on how you can juggle 2 languages at the same time. The first thing that I will do every morning is I will actually go out for a walk and I'll go to a nearby cafe. And in the cafe I will do about 1 hour or so of language study. And the reason I go to a cafe is because for me personally, and for many other people I know, it's much easier to focus when you're in a public place. The reason I think is because when I'm at home, there's no one watching me. I can go on YouTube if I want to, I can get distracted, and I know no one's going to know what I'm doing. However, in a cafe, even if no one really cares what I'm doing, there's some kind of sense that people might be watching me. I don't want to get distracted and go on YouTube or Reddit when I'm in a cafe. And I think this works even better when I sit at a table in the middle of a room. For example, this morning I was studying Chinese, and there were actually 2 Chinese girls sat on the table behind me. I don't know if they were looking at me, and really I don't care, but in my imagination, I was kind of thinking, okay, maybe they're looking at me, so therefore I have to study really hard. And the fact that they could, if they did look, could understand what I was writing, that made me even more motivated to not make any mistakes. So what I do in the cafe is I focus on 2 languages, Japanese and Chinese. I do them both on the same day. However, I do focus on one a little bit more. So the first thing I will do is study my Anki flashcards. Anki is one of many flashcard services, software, things, and I find it really useful. At the moment, I have a study streak of 1,250 days. That's right. So a streak is how many times you do something in a row without missing a single day. So yeah, I'm very committed to this, and I'm very strict about not skipping a day. That works well for me. So it's been several years now, and I've never missed a single day of language study. So on Anki, I always make my own cards, and these are sentences that I have learnt from my speaking lessons, or maybe from books that I read. If there's a useful grammar point or useful phrase, I will add it to my flashcards. Normally this will come up in English, and I have to write out the translation in either Chinese or Japanese. So I might do 20 minutes in Chinese, and then after that, I'll do 20 minutes in Japanese. Then, once I've done my flashcard study, it's kind of like a warm-up for me, I will do, maybe 15 minutes or so on a good day of a video lesson. What I'm currently enjoying is a website called fluentu.com, where you can watch a video and you can study the vocabulary and grammar from the video. I'm finding that really useful because it's kind of natural speech and you're learning from the context of a video. So I will do that. for some time and just learn some more vocabulary and structures there. And maybe that takes an hour and 15 minutes or 1 hour if I'm quick. And it's a nice way to begin my day. And I realize that that's not going to be available for everyone. I happen to have a lot of time in the morning, but I know many people do not. However, I do like to wake up early to make sure I can do this. I find if I go to bed at an early time, that means that I can study and do everything well the next morning. Another thing that I will do is when I find an interesting phrase, either in my studies or in my Anki flashcards, I will note it down on my Notes app, my Apple Notes app on my laptop. And the purpose of this is to kind of review later. So usually there's like a sentence with maybe a really nice word involved, or the grammar structure is quite interesting, and I don't really understand how to use it. Like maybe I can understand how to read it, but not how to use it myself and speak it out loud. So in that case, I will write it down in my notes, and I will come back to that in just a second. I'll come back to that later. I'm also a really big believer in making a routine that fits around your life. So another thing that I will do is whenever I can, I go for a walk later in the day and listen to a podcast in the language I'm learning. Really just whatever comes up on my phone or whatever I'm feeling in the mood for that day. And I'm really not kind of focusing really hard on what they're saying. I'm kind of trying to listen and understand, but I'm not going to be writing down notes. I'm not going to be doing anything like that. It's just listening and trying to enjoy the conversation. And obviously you have to spend some time in finding what level of podcast is suitable for you. But I quite enjoy that, just taking my learning out on the road, out on the streets. And then usually every day I will go to another cafe. I know I have a cafe addiction, but here in Bangkok, it's cheap and a nice way to spend time. And this is maybe mid-afternoon. I'll go to a cafe and I'll take a book with me. I have a few books. One is a graded reader. So it's a Chinese book made for English learners. I highly recommend checking out graded readers. You can find them on Amazon or online. And I'll read that, or I've got a Japanese book that I'll read in a cafe. Again, it depends on my mood. It depends how I'm feeling. I don't have a strict rule about when to study what language, just what I enjoy. Because I think if you enjoy it, you will learn much better. And yeah, I think it's just nice again. Sit in a cafe with a coffee, reading a book, 30 minutes, 20 minutes, keep it casual. I don't worry too much about the time, just try to enjoy it. And sometimes I will write some words down on my notes if I want to, or sometimes I will just read and not worry about noting things down. Again, depends on my mood. The key thing here, I think, is enjoying the process. So I will usually do that if I have enough time. The last thing that I will do in the day is usually only 10 or 15 minutes. It doesn't take long, but I think when it comes to reviewing, a little goes a long way. So I will usually spend about 10 minutes in the afternoon, maybe 5 p.m. or something, before dinner, before I kind of start to relax in the evening, just reviewing what I learnt before. And I do this by writing whatever I want. So this is where my notes from before come into practice. I look at all the sentences that I noted down from my previous studies, and I will use the structures to make my own sentences. So for example, let's say you're learning the word structure. You want to write down the word structure. Okay, structure is a good word, but I'm not really sure how to use it. So then when you come to do your writing, I like to do it on Google Docs, doesn't matter. You can do some sentences like, the structure of the human brain is complex. There's one example sentence. Or you could even make a story where you use the word structure a couple times within the story. Whatever you're in the mood for. And just doing this for 10 minutes or so really goes a long way, because that review is really important to stop your brain forgetting. So I won't say I always do that. I try my best to do it every day, but it is difficult sometimes in the evening, depending on how busy my day is. But when I do it, I always feel the difference. I feel it's sunk into my memory much more easily. And I suppose the last thing I could mention is, you might have been wondering, What about speaking? So speaking is admittedly something I don't do enough of. I want to do more speaking, but it's really hard, isn't it, when you've got a busy lifestyle. So I think you have to be honest with yourself and just ask yourself, how much time do I have for speaking? Is it going to be a priority for me? If so, fantastic. If not, you have to accept that you're not going to improve as quickly as you might want to. For me, I tend to have, 2 or 3 lessons a week. It really depends. I have a couple lessons a week online. I use italki, where I practice one-on-one with a teacher, just conversation, and they can give me feedback on my language as well. And what I find really useful there is, again, taking what you learnt before in your writing and your reading practice in the cafe and bringing it over to speaking. So you're using the same topics, but you're practicing them in different ways. I find that really, really helpful. And it just feels amazing when I've learned a word when I'm reading a book. I then write down that word in my writing practice, and then the next day I have a speaking lesson and I remember the word and I'm able to use it naturally. That really is the best feeling, and it's a good sign that what you're doing is working. Here's one other bonus thing that I like to do. I love to make notes on my phone because whenever I have some free time, I will look at these notes on my phone and just practice, read them through on the train. Maybe this might sound a little bit sad, but if I'm sitting in a public place and there are some Chinese people or Japanese people nearby, I kind of hear them talking a little bit. I don't want to bother them. I'm not going to just start talking to them and making them practice with me. But sometimes situations come up where it's appropriate to talk. Like, oh, you dropped your bag or whatever. Do you want to sit here? Something like that. So if I do hear some people talking a language I'm learning, I will look at these phrases on my phone that I've written. And these are really common phrases that I find really helpful to review. Just something like, as I said, would you like to sit here? Or can you give me some directions? Or, these kind of phrases like that. So anytime you have some free time, you can review these notes on your phone. I can show you on the screen some of mine here at the moment. Another great example is, would you mind taking a photo with me? Or would you like me to take your photo? If you see some tourists who are trying to take a selfie, you can ask if they want some help. Little things like that are always great opportunities to practice. I find personally that in those moments, I get nervous and I forget what I want to say. So I find it really helpful just to review these notes and get that kind of word sentence order stuck in my head. So that's basically what I do. I find that really helpful. Let me know if anything here sounds interesting for you that you might like to copy. And maybe more importantly, let me know if there's anything that you do in your routine that might benefit me or other people in the comments. Please share what you do. I'd love to hear because, as I said, I love hearing about routines. Anyway, thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Remember, if you do want to get more practice making a routine, I have a course all about it to help make a routine that fits you personally. And this is part of my Level Up English membership site. If you join the membership, you can access my routine course and develop your own routine that's tailored around your needs. More information in the description below. Thanks once again, and I will see you soon. Goodbye.